Sorry, it has been 10 minutes. And I did turn it off and restart it again. And we will see our luck. I think that with the, this kind of or, the telephone wave, 4G, whatever, it's also affected by many of the factors. So the environment. So may not be able to control through my phone today. But let's begin right now with our 43rd day. Forget about the past 10 minutes, okay? And now sit on a cushion on the hard floor, but not cold. And here, determine that you're going to have a good sleep. And, here, body, breath, and mind. Body, breath, and mind. 身, 习, 心. Prepare the good posture. So it will be 7 steps of Vairochana. So have your legs closed. And I appreciate that yesterday and the day before yesterday, Venerable Hui Shen has shown you a more detail on all kinds of aspects of meditation. And he is a good teacher and also great meditator. And I'm so glad that our Woodenfish community have him as our meditation instructor, okay? Okay, so now the leg closed and the back upright. And the hands, both hands, and the thumb slightly touched. Okay? And then circle your body clockwise, counterclockwise. So the way is to loosen the muscle in your joints. Before the meditation, if you can do some yoga, a stretch, will be really a lot about the flexibility of the muscle, okay? Now, your shoulder, back and forth, kind of relax the joint. So the shoulder do not have a stiffness, okay? But open up, put it down. And then your chin, not up, not down, but slightly, horizontally pull it in. And at this time, exhale 3 breaths to breathe out the impure air in your body. Also kind of visualize it too. And then after 3 breaths, and then close your mouth and keep the pure air inside your body. Okay, exhale. And with your mouth closed. And now your tongue the tip of your tongue slightly touched beneath the teeth. And eye closed. Now and your navel into one line, your ear and your shoulder also in one lines as well. Now, you have a perfect body posture. Check the 7 step, back, hands, shoulder, chin, tongue, and eyes. Upright, but relaxed. Now, breath. Remember 3 counting, following, and try to find the stopped point of breath. Okay. So, breathing in, breathing out. Counting out from 1 to 10. Breathing in, breathing out. No noise. Do not use the mouth to breathing in, to inhale. Count, exhale from 1 to 10. Now, the nostril is your meditation hall. All your mind, be mindful on your nostrils. No noise, no panting, gasping. Find the breath. Longer, it's better. Finer, it's better. Be mindful that the breath in is cold or hot, warm. Breathing out is the air cold or hot. And knowing that the whole breath full of your body. If you sit upright, doing the focus on breathing, now you will feel that the warmth, the temperature, the heat. Sometimes you even start to sweat already. The other one is to, when you inhale, breathing in and before you breathe out. It was a very short moment that you stop the breathing, and to be aware of that stopping moment. Now, I'm not going to give you any instruction, say anything, but give you a few minutes to practice these 3. Counting, following, and stopping. Let's start our metta meditation, sending the loving kindness thought and that we do not know. If there's a disconnection, please just be patient. Today, the live streaming, the data is not very stable, but fortunately, it comes back. There's just a disconnection. Just be patient and accept the imperfection and okay? May I be free from the infection of coronavirus and other disease, free from suffering, and be well and healthy. May spouse, partner, and children be free from the infection of coronavirus and other disease, free from suffering, and be well and healthy. May my parents, brothers, and sisters be free from the infection of coronavirus and other disease, free from suffering, and be well and healthy. May my teachers and students be free from the infection of coronavirus and other diseases, free from suffering, and be well and healthy. May my bosses, employees, and colleagues be free from the infection of coronavirus and other disease, free from suffering, and be well and healthy. May all my friends and neighbors be free from the infection of coronavirus, free from suffering, and be well and healthy. May all the people in this country be free from the infection of coronavirus and other disease, free from suffering, and be well and healthy. May all the people in this world be free from the infection of coronavirus and other disease, free from suffering, and be well and healthy. May all the sentient beings in this universe, free from greed, hatred, and ignorance, free from suffering, and be well and happy. May all the doctors and nurses, caretakers, medical personnel, free from the infection of coronavirus and other disease, free from suffering, and be well and healthy. We thank them and like to do very, very special prayer to be safe and healthy. May all the political leaders free from the infection of coronavirus and other disease, free from greed, hatred, and ignorance, free from and be well. And we pray that they have enough wisdom and a sense of humanity to adopt proper measure to save more life, no harm, and to create a harmonious society and peaceful world. May all the people who got affected by coronavirus and other diseases will gain the speed recovery, free from suffering, and be well and healthy. May all the people of coronavirus and other disease will rest and be reborn in a better, happier, healthy realms. Now, we can do the special prayer for particular individuals. I would like to transfer of meditation and teaching to all the anonymous heroes who are fighting this battle in pandemic. Amitabha. Now, rubbing our hands, the palms, and cover the eyes, and massage the forehead and the skull and ear and the neck. I know, I'm aware that a few seconds, maybe less than a minute, disconnection. We're going to have another maybe 20 minutes or even a little bit more to answer the question. And well, anyway, this is going to be our part 2 for answering the question for today's Q&A. I got a question about the meaning of death, or is there any of the afterlife? Yes. I was young, I always wondering that how did I, come to this world, and after I die, where I'm going, and what is the purpose of life? Especially, when we die, where are we going? Or is there any life? But very interesting that in Chinese culture, growing up, we assume that yes, there is a life after we die, but you just don't know where you go, or what will be the situation when we die. And if you ask, is in Buddhism, it explains that how will we die? I mean, what is the situation when we are dying? Or after we died, where do we go? Is there any question in Buddhism? Of course. It's very clear indeed, especially in a contemporary called Yogacara Bhumi. I find that it's in a very, very detail, and the issue is whether you want to believe it or not. So when we started this issue, this topic, let me, give you some the movie called Samsara, the term is kind of become an English term. So literally means continuous flow, or the way I would say it will be the vicious circle. Continues. And a lot of people, of course, when many of Westerners, when they come to, okay, now we are back. So when it's a kind of almost a disconnection, we just have to do breathing in, breathing out, and wait for it come back, okay? So we always think that samsara, as I mentioned, that many of the Westerners, even though they study Buddhism, but one thing many people doesn't want to believe is, I know that even many of the Buddhist scholars, when I talk to them, they say, I don't believe in samsara. I don't believe in like rebirth. You will come back to the next life. As I mentioned, that the rebirth is depend on really. That there was a extensive description on the Buddhist sutra, especially commentaries, very detailed. And the issue is whether you want to believe it or not, But at least we have to know, And so the first one will be samsara. I like to explain the samsara. Many people always thinking about, the previous life, this life, and the next life, But the way I see that samsara, if it's a vicious circle, indeed, in our body, in the individual and our society, and even a bigger society, already is a circle. many of the samsara. Well, I believe the first one in our, the cells in our body, some cells die out and, come back. So we have this system that, there was a, death and birth in our life, in our bodies already, okay? And look at it, our own cell habits. I always see that we have a lot of vicious circle. For example, if I'm overweight and the doctors say you do exercise it, but because I'm overweight, and I feel like I don't have energy to do exercise. And because I don't have the to do exercise, so then I become, fatter and fatter. Unless I change the habit to disconnect, do kind of breath circle. See, the personal, we also have a vicious circle. So this is what I say, the samsara, samsara habit. About it, whether that it's procrastination, also a way of a samsara habit too. Something you have to do, and then you just think, oh, I do it later. And later, because you accumulate the things, you don't do it, and you just feel like, oh, no way I can do, and then you end up doing nothing. Unless you really break the habit, say, okay, sit down and work. So this is a samsara in our, habits, life habits. And if you look at the relationship, sometimes when we come to the domestic violence, and you find that, lots of time you don't understand that the abuse, moment, and why cannot get away from this abusive lifestyle? Usually if you see this domestic violence, they always, okay, if the husband beating the wife, the morning, and then at night maybe come back, or a few days later come back and say, oh, I'm sorry, honey, I still love you. And this happen again, and then apologize, and then beating, apologize, and beating. So this is our human, like a relationship, samsara. Unless you really see it very clear and determined, to terminate it, to cut off the cycle of the domestic violence. And now if we look at the world, again, the history, it's all connected. And eye for eyes, take a revenge. If we look at the many situations in our internal society, even if you look at from us, the September 11th issue, that event is not really isolated event, like it just happened. And we can go back to the history as well. Unless really people got educated and to stop the problem, use of violence, So this is what we call the samsara in the individual, in our communal life. So sometimes I always tell myself, why you have to wait until previous life and the future life, and then to admit, oh yeah, there was a samsara. I think that in present life, from individual and our social life, our international society, we already see the samsara. Okay. And when we talk about the cut off the cycle of birth and death, you need to cut it off. And so Buddhism talk about that the goal of ending samsara is called Nirvana. Nirvana, Nirvana, Nirvana. I believe there was a band also called Nirvana too. Well, what does it mean about Nirvana mean? Nirvana literally means blow off. The blow off what? The fire, like of the candle, the fire of a flame. And this fire or flame, it doesn't represent the life, but represents the desire, especially delusion. In the past, many of the lecture we have been talking about, the greed and hatred, like and dislike. We always got caught in the love and hate relationship. And then, greed and hatred, kind of two sides of one coin. And so, to blow out the desire, the blow out basically is greed, hatred, and ignorance. So, Nirvana means if we can blow out this desire, remember, not the life. That means what? That means that when we are still alive and we still can attain the Nirvana. So that is why that the Buddha attains so-called the Nirvana, enlightenment, when he was 31, according to the Han Buddhism tradition. Like he attained the Nirvana, attained the enlightenment, get rid of the hatred, greed, hatred, and delusion when he is young and when he is still alive. So the Nirvana refer to someone attained enlightenment. And of course, that after that the Buddha spent 49 years, propagating the Dharma, spread the Dharma, and then he passed away at the age of 80, according to Buddhism tradition. And we call paranirvana. That means, excuse me, he attained nirvana without this residue. Residue refer to the body. And so when he attained nirvana, when he attained enlightenment at the age of 31, that means he attained nirvana, enlightenment, still have this body and this residue. So there was two kinds of nirvana. One is with a residue, and the other one is without residue. So samsara and nirvana. So if we do not attain the nirvana, then after we die, even though the physical body, we die, of course we see the physical body, left on this earth. But is the consciousness continue to get rebirth? Okay, and let me also make some clarification that in English, in the Western, we use soul, S-O-U-L, soul, a lot. But you will find that in Buddhist literature, we do not use soul at all, and we use consciousness. Of course, if you see some popular literature, about Buddhism, and very common, they also use a soul 灵魂, like in Chinese. But if you look at in the sutra, Buddhist, we don't use a soul, we use a consciousness. And these consciousness are still carried out. So in Buddhism, that someone died, the physical body died, that means we pass away, and then the physical body left on this earth, and even we cremate the body. The body become ashes, ashes to ashes. But the consciousness will keep going. And that is why that in Buddhism, the idea is that the life is continuous. So for many of the Buddhists, that the physical body has a limit, it's limited, but the spirit, the life, is continued. So there is a metaphor that, in the sutra, it mentions that like a flame, fire, you pass on a piece of wood, and even this wood burn out, but the fire continue to another, log of wood. Or more like the house. We live in this house, but if this house has been burned, then you just change into another house. So the is continue. And of course, that where did the life go? So are you coming back as a human being, or you become an animal? So in Buddhism, the category will be if you are still in the cycle of samsara, then people can be reborn in a heavenly being called Deva, and then then become a human being, or become an animal. That's where we can see. And then the fourth one will be called hungry ghost, spirit. The fifth one is called, and later you will find that this is called, five path or five realms. Realms, R-E-A-L-M, realms. Or sometimes we even, add one more, it's called asura. Asura was considered as kind of a heavenly being, but very feisty. Always want to fight with the heavenly king, heavenly beings. So then become a 6 realms. It's just like a different stage. Sometimes you are a human being, you are animal in the animal realm, and hell, just like hell and heaven. In the Western religion, you have a heaven and hell. But in Buddhism, you kind of extend it to heaven, asura, humankind, and animal, and hungry ghosts, and the hell. And hungry ghosts, it's more like what we call the spirits, you know, something we may not be able to see, but existence. And people will ask, you know, right now with the science, you're probably going to ask, you know, where are those 6 realms? Of course, what we can see is the human beings and the animals. And where is the heaven? Where is the hell? Is there any of the, what we call the beings besides the human being and animal? You know? If you ask me this question, I can only tell you that we just need to be humble. That I believe that in this whole universe, the existence, definitely not just a human being and the animal. There are certain beings definitely exist, but just cannot be received by our sense organ. That means they exist, but I cannot see, I cannot hear, I cannot sense. Just like this, you know, the telephone data, you know, it disconnected. I don't know why it disconnected, you know, but I know through his disconnection, I know that he exists. You know. So the wave, the long wave, the short wave, the high frequency, the lower frequency, and there's some odor, you know, it exists. The dog can smell it, but as a human being, we cannot smell it. So this is you know, for me, I always say we need to be very humble to accept that there's the existence beyond just a human being. This is my own, you know, kind of I will tell myself, you know, whether you believe there was you know, the heaven or hell, or heavenly beings, or the spirit. Of course, that human being, animal, it's very clear. And if you ask me, where is the hell? Where is the heaven? We tend to kind of picture that the heaven is up there and hell is down there. And I think that is a very stereotype of thinking. Indeed, on this earth, that, you know, we have a heavenly life, and they also have, you know, hellish life as well. Whenever there was war and killing and murder, and that is a hell, you know. And there was a beauty, enjoy, you know, good quality of life. That is a heaven. And of course, that Buddhism talk about many, you know, layer of heaven. And I believe a lot of them are regarding to the mental state. You know, so if you look at the language that it talk about, especially you talk about the realms of form, those are referred to the first concentration, second concentration, third concentration, fourth concentration, the dhyana. So besides these six realms, Buddhism also categorized that this samsara has three realms. The realm of desire, the realm of form, and the realm of form. And of course, in this desire realm, that we tend to kind of pursue something for pleasure. And to the realm of form and more like the meditation status. I want to point out that in Buddhism, it comes to form, rupa, form, F-O-R-M, and we transfer as material. Keep in mind that the definition of form or material is different from that. Okay, this time take much longer to reconnect. I almost come to try to reset it. Well, anyway, what I'm trying to say that the definition of form is still, in Buddhism, is still different from our regularly experience. If you look at the context in Buddhism, that the form is not just in the range of the thing that our eyes can see. That in Buddhism, even for our ordinary eye, we cannot see. It's also included, in Buddhism as a form as well. So you find very interesting that even something in our mind that, or the image that Buddhism can refer that as a form, or even when you have that concentration status, that is also considered as a realm of a form as well. So I just want to point it out that when we come to Buddhism, we look at the words, and you need to be aware of the definition and its content. Okay, now it's 9:16, and I apologize today that, with this T-Mobile, the data and unlimited data, but we're doing this live streaming and it keeps disconnected. It has been okay in the past, 2 weeks, no problem, but today it continues. But anyway, thank you so much, and I will continue tomorrow, and I see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and I will definitely, after the meditation, I continue on the Q&A about what does it mean about life and death in Buddhism. See you tomorrow at 8 o'clock.